What's good, everybody, and welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Brokewriter Dave.
How are we doing, everybody?
I want to say, before we even get started on this debate, that regardless of who wins, this is probably going to be my favorite one that we've done. This is our, fourth versus battle?
Yeah, our fourth one.
We have done post-apocalyptic horror, we have done sequels, we have done holiday, and now we're doing that old classic genre, mad scientist.
Yes.
And I discovered after sitting and watching both of these like back to back that I think mad scientist movies is definitely one of my favorite genres of horror.
Yeah.
I mean, it combines, you have chances to do so much with like effects and fun stuff.
Yeah, both of these movies had a lot of practical effects.
Oh yeah, it was when I was sitting here when I was getting into the fly. I was like, I watched Re-Animator first, and then when I was getting into the fly, I was like, this is gonna be a hard one for me to to kind of figure out which one I like more, or which I'm gonna do. Because
really,
yeah, for real, I like the full disclosure. I like them both in different ways for different reasons.
Well, I like them both, but I have like one that I felt was like kind of like head and shoulders above the other one.
Well, we'll get into it, and we'll see. But what I thought we would do, since I had seen both of these before, and this was your first time seeing either of these.
Yeah.
So this to me was kind of like when you issued me The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Giving you The Fly and Re-Animator was kind of like that for me. Like, how have you not seen The Fly or The Re-Animator? Surely you have seen either one of those. But since I'd seen both and you'd seen neither, how about we do something a little different this time? And why don't you summarize your pick and I'll summarize mine?
Okay.
So you put forth The Fly, which when you put forth The Fly, I was a little bummed out until I remembered that the Re-Animator exists.
Well, I think you chose Re-Animator first.
Yeah, but I completely forgot about my top 10 mad science list.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and start off with summarize, do you want to start that one first, I guess?
Yeah, we can start that one.
All right. And first off, just kind of like you said, these movies are both good in practical effects, though I will say that this one had a higher budget.
Yeah.
The Fly had a budget of about $9 to $13 million, I think it said. And Re-Animator was around 900,000, 900 to a million.
All right.
So just putting that out there. And so I'm going to go ahead and let you take away The Fly, since it'll be interesting, since this one's considered by many to be a classic in terms of like body horror and whatnot. So
you start off meeting our mad scientist, Dr. Seth Brundle, played by the one and only Jeff Goldblum.
The sexy Jeff Goldblum.
Yes. And there he meets a science journalist, Ronnie, played, is that Gina Davis?
Yeah, that's Gina Davis. Yeah. From Beetlejuice fame, as a lot of people will know her from in the horror community.
Yeah, I always get her confused with Ashley Lawrence.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
who played Kirsten Cotton in Hellraiser. I
can see that. I can.
Yeah. I just mix those two up. Yeah.
They have a similar facial features.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a journalist and he's a scientist.
Yeah, and he convinces her to go back to his lab, where he shows her he's invented some teleportation pods.
Yeah, I like that he just casually invites her over.
Yeah.
I'll make you a cappuccino.
Yeah, like something like that you think would be in a highly secured facility. Well, definitely it's not.
Just doing it in his studio apartment.
Yeah. Okay. And kind of shows her how it works. And at first, she takes the story back to her editors. They're like, oh, well, obviously he tricked you.
Yeah, and this editor...
That's not possible, yeah.
This editor used to be... they used to be a couple.
Yeah, it's her ex-boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah, and he's a creep.
Yeah, basically stalks her most of the movie. I mean, it kind of helps her out in the end, but...
But yeah, he's very much like... He obviously probably wasn't the one who broke up with her, because he's still...
Yeah.
Like... breaking into her apartment and using her shower and doing all sorts of weird, creepy things.
Yeah. Yeah, but he shows her like the pods could teleport like inanimate objects, but when it comes to like living tissues, they still have issues. So basically, they're working on that. He tries it again with this time a piece of steak.
Right. Formerly, he tried it with a baboon,
Baboon killed the baboon.
turned it like inside out or something.
Yeah, you got your inside out. Then he tried it with a piece of steak. Had her try a bite of each, and the one that was teleport, she's like, "Yeah, this tastes synthetic."
Yeah, that's when they,
And he
yeah,
realizes the computer's like just copying
substituting.
what, yeah, copying what it thinks a steak would be instead of teleporting the actual thing.
I will also say that I like these were both 80s
Yeah,
movies, and I love 80s. I love 80s looking futuristic technology because he's sitting there typing up the computer, and what would look like old fashioned to us right now, I'm sure just look highly advanced back in the day.
super advanced. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
so he finds out that the teleporter is pretty much substituting DNA kind of stuff.
yeah. And from there, he reprograms the system to understand the makeup of living tissue. And then he successfully teleports a second bamboo.
Oh yeah, and at this
Yeah.
point, him and Gina Davis, Ronnie,
Ronnie, yeah. They're
have
knocking
start.
boots.
Yeah, they're knocking boots. There, she was originally just using them to like get a story out, but then he convinced her
Yeah.
to kind of like, hey, hold off. You can have the exclusive rights to like the full story if you just hold off. But come on
Yeah.
over and you can kind of document what's going on.
Yeah. And they start to have a thing. But she runs off to meet with her editor. So Seth decides he's gonna get drunk. And in the drunken stupor, he decides, screw it, I'm gonna teleport myself.
Yeah, which what do you think about that decision? Like, I'm just gonna get you, like, or just like, surely you would be smarter than that,
Right? Like there
uh,
was like less than 50% chance that you'd make it through alive in this, and he took it anyways for no reason.
but I mean, also at the same time, he did that. He like she ran off to her editor,
Yeah.
and he's angry about that.
Yeah, he's jealous. Yeah.
Well, he's just too, but he's also like, she's anxious to get this story out,
Yeah.
and to him, he's like, look. You're gonna get the full story. You're gonna get everything you want. Just hold on. I just showed you that teleportation exists.
Yeah.
just hold off a little bit. You'll get your story. Just take it slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, he decides to try to teleport himself.
And comes the title of the movie. Fly happened to be in the teleportation pod with him.
Hmm.
And then we slowly start to see his transformation.
Yeah, over the next
Yeah.
couple of days. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the way the machine works is that it can at first before it even teleports you, it says it identifies what's in the machine, and then
Yeah.
so we see on the
Teleports.
outside common housefly and Seth Brundle.
Teleports. Yeah. And so you start noticing it, like he's doing like these like straight edge like pull ups on the bar.
Yeah, at first it's turning into like a Spider-Man story where he's getting
Yeah, like he's
superpowers.
just super strong.
In a
Uh,
different universe, he would have been the world's first superhero.
yeah, breaking a guy's arm when they arm wrestle,
Hmm.
and
But that's very short-lived. Then it stops.
yeah,
Then it stops being fun.
yeah, and at the same time that's going on, Ronnie finds out she's pregnant.
Oops.
Oops.
Just
And
a lot of poor decisions all around. Nobody's taking any kind of precautions.
yeah, and she's kind of afraid of what the baby's gonna be like.
Well, this is after we start seeing him like his body
Yeah,
slowly start to deteriorate.
deteriorate. Yeah,
Like, we start seeing him lose like his skin starts getting blotchy. He starts getting like little hairs and shit on the back of his whatever. And it starts off small, where it's like, all right, whatever. Until near the end, he looks like a corpse.
yeah. So basically, yeah, he's deteriorating, and so is his mind. Slowly, he's becoming less human, more animalistic.
I will say at this point, if I may, he starts slowly turning into a fly, like
Yeah,
kind of creature ish. He loses his teeth. At some point, he starts having to like vomit all over his stuff in order for it to liquefy, so that's how he eats.
Yeah.
The fly's fine. As far as we know, there ain't a fly going around turning into a human. Like,
Yeah. But did the fly come out of the teleporter? Or
or
when it teleported, did the machine just combine both their DNA together?
oh yeah, I forgot about yeah.
Pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Is
Oh,
that just kind of
yeah,
combine
because
their DNA? Yeah.
oh yeah, that was the whole point. Is that it like spliced them together rather than.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting that mixed up with probably a parody I saw where there was probably some because this kind of movie has been copied and parodied
Period. Yeah.
and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, you're right. Continue.
Leads us to basically Seth being so far gone. He basically grabs Ronnie, tells her that he is going to fuse her, their unborn child, and him all together.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Oh,
and
first she
her
has a.
stalker boyfriend tries to stop it,
Yeah.
and Seth uses his enzymes to melt off his hand and foot.
Yeah, that's rough.
That looks so painful. That sucks.
Oh yeah. At this point, I forget how he finds out. Oh, he finds out that she's pregnant, and there was a terrifying dream sequence.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Basically, Ronnie has a dream that she gives birth to a maggot.
to a giant larva kind of thing,
Yeah,
and
super gross, dude.
yeah. So Seth finds out, and he's like, "We're gonna be the ultimate family. I'm gonna splice us all together into one."
So he locks her into one of the pods. He gets into the other. Stalker ex-boyfriend shoots power out of her pod. So basically, his DNA just gets mangled and reanimated.
Basically, it got spliced with the machine itself. Uh, I think
Well,
I think
it just got kind of
I
disappeared
think
and reappeared. Yeah,
well, I think that part of him like kind of got combined with the machine a little bit because I'm fairly certain it got a little bit with the machine because I think part of it got busted or something. But at this point, he is no longer recognizable as a human at all.
not human at all. No, and then basically, Seth crosses Ronnie, places a barrel of shotgun to his head,
Yeah, she has a gun at this point.
basically begging for to end his suffering.
It's like the last bit of humanity that he has.
Yeah.
Is just like, just kill me.
And that is the end of the movie.
And she blows his head off.
Yeah.
So thoughts? It was your first time seeing The Fly.
This movie's great. I don't know why I didn't watch it. I mean, like, I've been meaning to watch it, I just haven't had a chance, but yeah.
And I knew that it was also when you mentioned that you were going to see it. It's also body horror, and I know that you are iffy with it when it comes to body horror.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie's great.
Yeah. See, this is again. See now that you said that this is great, I kind of know what you're going to be giving mine. But yeah, I mean, so you liked it, and when I think mad science, this is kind of because you also get a sympathetic scientist.
Yeah.
Is like, had he not made that mistake,
Yeah.
this is a wonderful anti-drinking ad.
Right?
Like, had he not done that, he would have had it all. He would have been rich. He would have had a attractive girlfriend by his side.
Yeah.
And he would have gone down in history as one of the most famous and one of the most important scientists that ever lived.
Yeah, and it wasn't even really mistakes. Don't really notice his flies.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not. Yeah, it wasn't like some obvious mistake. It was just like it was a fly. It could have gotten in anywhere. Like you just happened to not notice it.
That's why you do these things at big, sterile office spaces, office labs. Yeah,
not a studio apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that was his big mistake. Just
I do well that, and much like what we'll see in Re-Animator, one of the mistakes also is that like his discovery alone of teleportation would have been more than enough to put him on the map.
Yeah, just teleporting inanimate objects.
I mean, that alone
would have made him a billionaire.
Like,
you didn't need to take it further.
I mean, yeah, I mean, especially not within the course of like a week or something like that. I mean, just once you find out I can teleport inanimate object, that you've already changed the game. You just have one. You can teleport anything from one side of and then you will get any amount of money for a grant that you wish.
Yeah,
the military will give you all sorts of cash for something
exactly.
like that. Just to like, all right, we'll give you money, we'll give you resources, we'll give you all sorts of stuff that you can do your experimentations on. We'll give you the grant for your own thing. It's their hubris that's their ultimate downfall. Of
Exactly.
it has to be
He
perfect.
he got lost in it, kind of like Icarus just flying too close to the sun.
I will say that at first I didn't like Gina Davis's character because I was like, "Look, lady, it's like just you're here on ground zero of the
Yeah.
biggest discovery in the world. Just hold off on talking to your editor ex-boyfriend. Just
But I get it though. Like if someone showed me something teleporting, I'd want to tell everybody.
I know, but he's like, hey,
Like
look,
the
listen.
coolest shit ever.
I know, but he's like, hey, look, listen, just you can't just
Yeah.
like and she's like, it's kind of like she was like teasing about it too, like, well, I'm gonna, and I was like,
Mm.
look, man, don't be a jerk about it. It's like you're trying to like make money off of my hard work, and I'm telling you, it ain't ready.
I feel like that was probably I really liked her performance in this movie, so
The performances are great.
yeah.
And eventually Gina Davis, agrees to like hold off a little bit, and she's coming by to help him and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
will say this is probably one of the for a horror movie one of the saddest endings to a horror movie,
Oh yeah.
where it's just like he did not deserve that ending.
No.
Like he's not like a douchebag.
He's not an awful person at all, no.
He's
He,
he
he's uh he's not even like the antagonist in the story.
yeah.
He
There's no
is, but he isn't, but it's like
I can't even really say that him himself is the bad guy in it because he's not in his right mind. He
yeah.
it's a Brundle fly as we eventually end up
Yeah.
calling him. Like
From
that's
yeah.
the insect mind of his brain that got spliced with the fly that is taking
Yeah.
over pretty much. But yeah, what a
But
horrible
yeah.
way and
Portland, yeah.
horrible way to go. Or do you want to break it down? Because there's no real deaths.
Yeah, yeah, there's really no deaths in this movie.
But do you have like a scene that stood out that you thought, well, that was a cool scene?
I did like the arm wrestling scene.
Where he
Where
broke the
he's like,
dude's.
"Oh, I bet I could beat you if I win. I take the girl." And he just snaps the dude's arm
He
and
said
walks off.
he said winner takes the girl.
Yeah,
It's like back in the '80s where you could just like gamble with your with your girlfriend. Just
yeah,
for me, probably would have to be that ending scene because it's just so sad.
yeah. It is sad. Yeah,
Because it was like the last, like he's this grotesque monster at the end, and with his
yeah.
last bit of humanity, he's just
They
like kill me.
end it now. Yeah,
All right, so now the important part
the
to
scores.
yeah to score it. Give it its technicals.
Technicals. I'm gonna give it an 8
8.
because I really like the practical effects. And even though like the CGI is like cheesy 80s, it was made in the 80s, so I still kind of like them. So
I gave it an 8.5.
okay.
When it comes to practical effects, this is one that I kind of this and the thing I set is the
Probably
standard.
the best like practical effects out there. Yeah,
It's the standard I set when I think of like body horror and when I think of practical effects. It's
it's top tier. Yeah.
it's top tier, and yeah, no, yeah. So 8.5 for me easily.
Okay. All right. So what you give it for the story?
Well, I can tell you right now, for me, the the entire movie for me was 8.5, 8.5, 8.5.
Okay.
So story, good story. Both of these, by the way, both of these were adapted movies from two separate materials. This one being
Yeah.
from the man's name is uh,
I have it up. Well, it was adapted from what was
George
it?
George
George
Langlin, something like that.
Langland. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was adapted from George Langlin, and there was a movie about the Fly, like back in the black and white movie era. I mean, Cronenberg is, I like Cronenberg.
Yeah.
He's
Cronenberg's pretty awesome. So
so story. I mean, solid story. Uh,
story, I also went 8.5.
likable scientist.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Very. And even with all the science stuff, the story is still it flows well. It's easy to follow. So
And I will say for both of these, we're roughly about 90 minutes around each
yeah,
of them, which is perfect amount of
well,
time.
yeah, it's perfect length for a movie. A24 could shove it with their 3 hour movies that have nothing happen in them, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you just didn't get it." I'm like, no,
we gotta.
it's fucking boring.
We need to put a pin in this next season with A24. We need to like go on an A24 binge or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, this one.
it's a love hate relationship with A24.
But this one was like 96, and I think Reanimator was like 89 or something like
Yeah,
that.
very
Um,
close in length. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, story. It's a solid story, easy to follow, and it's just you see one guy's descent into mental and physical madness.
yeah, and I think enjoyment. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay,
I could easily see myself rewatching this movie a lot. So yeah, I'd have to give it a 9.
so I said 8.5s all around, which I think is like 25.5.
And I said 8, 8.5, and 9.
Yeah.
So 25 and a half.
So you gave it also 25.5.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a high score.
That is a high score,
Yeah,
which is going to make the next one pretty interesting.
yeah,
Well, so let's move on to Reanimator.
yeah,
So if you said you like this, The Fly, it pretty much tells me what your feelings are on Reanimator. But let me go ahead and just break it down anyway of what it is. This one is definitely cult classic movie.
yeah,
This one, like you talk Reanimator with people who like cult classic movies, people love this. People love Jeffrey Combs. Basically, this is what did I put? Sex, zombies, and science. This movie. So Reanimator. I'll say this: within the first 2 minutes of Reanimator, for me personally, it starts off strong. We get introduced to Herbert West, and
yeah.
we're in Switzerland, and there's this man, Dr. Herr Gruber, who's having some kind of reactionary fit to a serum he was given, and he's like freaking out over the floor. His orifices are bleeding and blah blah blah, and that's within the first like 2 minutes, and
And the nurse is, yeah.
his eyeballs
Nurse
are
is like, you
pulsing.
killed him. You killed him. He's like, no,
No,
I gave him life.
I gave him life. Now this is a cheesy movie, which is great.
Yeah,
I love this kind of cheesy movie, and the music is very Danny Elfish a little bit. It reminded me of I'm trying to the orchestrals. Um, it reminds me of a specific movie that I'm having a hard time placing. But
okay,
it sounded very familiar. But I love the music in this.
okay,
We see that, and then the title, or so once we hear "I gave him life," then the title sequence comes up.
yeah.
Next, now we get introduced to Kane, who's an up and coming medical student. He's trying to revive
Third
this.
year, yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to perform CPR on someone who is,
pretty much dead.
yeah.
She's dead,
They're
but you,
like,
yeah,
give it up, kid. She's gone.
that's not who you want working on you. Somebody who says, "Yeah, give up." I want Kane trying to bring me back to you. Do as much CPR as you think is possible to bring me back to life if you need to.
Yeah, but I really like that they have us starting off seeing Kane like this.
Hmm.
So you kind of understand his viewpoint going forward into this movie.
Yes, I thought it was perfect,
Yeah,
and he's kind of like you automatically see how he's different than Herbert West. Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs, by the way. The two big names in this movie are Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton, by the way. So we meet Kane, he up and coming medical student, and his heart's in the right place. He's a medical student. He has a girlfriend, Megan, played by Barbara Crampton, and she is the pretty much the dean's daughter, the dean of
she
the
is the dean's daughter. Yeah,
yeah, the dean of the school medical school's daughter. And Kane needs a roommate, much like how a lot of medical students they all bunk
yeah,
together so they can pull their resources. And Herbert West answers the call. Herbert West came from Switzerland. He got finished doing his stuff with Gruber, learned all he needed to over there, all he could. So now he's back in the States and he's at this new school trying to perfect something. We don't know just what yet, but He is the opposite of Seth Brundle in terms of his personality.
Yeah, he's kind of
He's cold, very scientific in
what's it?
terms of he's just all he cares about is his work.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's no personal touch in him as a doctor. So
he's very much like Frankenstein in that Dr. Frankenstein from the classic one in that sense, in that he's just all he cares about is his work. I don't care what it takes. I just need to perfect my work.
yeah, and
Which
it kind of creeps Megan out when he moves in. She's like, not
which
really
I
feeling this.
which I get it, but at the same time, or Herbert West, he's like, "Hey, I got money right here. Can I use the basement? You won't even know I'm here. I'll give you the pay my money on time, first of every
Yeah,
month. Blah blah blah." And she does like bring up that he's acting strange, but at the same time, when she brings up her initial issues, I'm like, yeah, so the dude keeps to himself.
yeah,
So what? He's a
he
little
does his own thing. Yeah,
he does his own thing. He's just, he's whatever. Also, we get introduced to another scientist slash medical professional named Carl Hill.
Dr. Carl Hill.
Dr. Carl Hill, who Herbert hates. He pretty much says that
Yeah,
everything
they do
that
not like each other. Yeah,
he's pretty much like everything that he has done, he pretty much plagiarized off of Dr.
Dr.
Gruber.
Hans Gruber. Yeah,
Hans Gruber. No, Hans Gruber's from Die Hard. Um, Dr. Gruber from Switzerland.
no, it is Dr. Hans Gruber.
Is it Hans Gruber? Because I'm pretty sure Hans Gruber was also the name of the bad guy in Die Hard.
I'm looking at it on Winky. It says Doc Alberry as Dr. Hans Gruber.
Oh, never mind that. I guess they both were just named Hans Gruber.
Yeah,
Herbert West's whole thing is that he believes that that you can reanimate dead tissue after the point of essentially of no return. That
yeah,
all it takes is a chemical recharge, and then you can reanimate dead tissue to come back to life.
yeah,
Carl Hill thinks he's just annoying, hates him because he's getting called out on his bullshit.
yeah,
But Carl Hill starts developing a very pervy and creepy affection for Megan. So, to put it in simple terms, as of right now, Herbert hates Carl. Carl hates Herbert. Carl hates Kane. Kane loves Megan. Carl loves Megan. And Herbert just loves his work.
and Megan hates Herbert.
And her at this
And
point, yes,
Kane is indifferent on Herbert.
yes. So it's a lot of love hate going around.
Yeah,
So one night, Kane and Herbert or Kane and Megan are trying to get or just
yeah.
hanging out.
He's trying to get it in, and she's like,
Yeah,
"No, I don't want to do it because your roommate's weird."
everyone's horny in this movie at some point.
He's like, "He's not even here. He's never around."
Yeah, and then
And she's like, "That's the point. Like, do you ever see him?"
that's when
No.
that's why I was like, why do you care? Like,
That's what he said when he moved in. We'd never see him.
Yeah, so what? He keeps to himself. I was like, what? It's like,
Yeah, where's your cat at?
where's your cat?
It's a cat. They hide.
It was a very funny sequence of events where he was like, he's trying to get it in, and she's
Yeah.
like, but what about Herbert? He's not here. Yeah, exactly. So why aren't we getting it in right now?
Yeah, exactly. He's not here. Yeah.
They look for her cat, which they find in Herbert's fridge.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that makes Megan feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'd feel some kind of way too if I open my roommate's fridge and there's a dead cat in there. I'm like,
Herbert comes in and he's like, yeah, the cat died earlier, and I didn't want it stinking up the place. A horrible excuse, but he's like,
the way he said the cat died, I'm like,
said that
you're a doctor. You should have thought of a better excuse than that.
Said
Like,
the cat got into the
got
garbage,
into the trash, and got its head stuck in a bottle and suffocated. I'm like,
So I did what any rational person would do and put his carcass in the fridge.
yeah,
But that's so
yeah,
Kane's gonna like kick him out, but then Herbert's like, well, look, if you do that, he insinuates I might just have to let people know that you're
yeah,
let people know that you're sleeping with the dean's daughter. So it's pretty much like, all right, whatever. So now he's back. It's back to how it was. Now Kane accidentally stumbles across Herbert in one of his experiments. Well,
Well,
Herbert's
Kane
getting
gets
attacked.
awoken in the middle of the night by like hissing and meowing,
Yeah,
and he starts stumbling through the house. Herbert, what's going on? Sees the kid alive, and then
yeah.
kill the cat.
Sees the cat's alive, kills the cat again. This is where Herbert introduces his reanimation agent,
Yeah,
his reagent. And
looks like toxic goo,
I love the way it looks. It's a very neat green, very
popping like green neon
glowing
color.
green kind
Yeah,
of, yeah, very, So he shows Kane this is what it does to dead tissue. Brings the cat back to life. This cat's like fucked up right now.
yeah,
It's been dead twice now.
yeah. At first, Kane doesn't believe. He's like, "No, you probably just lowered the cat's pulse," and
Yes, I would go through all of this
yeah.
trouble to do that.
So he reanimates it again. He's like, "Look, the cat's not gonna move much because its back's broken, but
But it brings him back to life.
yeah, it starts. Yeah,
So now Kane basically just becomes Herbert's assistant, and
yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, I will help you." Pretty much,
yeah."
he sees a money making opportunity when he sees it,
I don't
and
think it's money making. I think it harks back to
yes, he likes the
where
idea
we
of being
first
able
meet
to.
Kane.
Yes,
Is he seems like a doctor that kind of
cares.
that really hates to lose any type of patient. So
Yes. I mean, I joke when I say a money making opportunity, but yes, it does harken back to him. His heart's in the right place. He is doing it for complete opposite reasons that Herbert is doing it. Herbert is doing it because it's his work. It's his life's work. He just sees this is going to put me on the map as as a genius, and
or Dr. Hill, that's like, yeah, this is gonna give me a lot of money and fame.
yeah, yeah. Later we find that out. So now they try to do an experiment in the morgue, trying to see if we could do this on a live person.
Yeah.
Herbert has to be pretty much snuck in because at this point the dean's name's Robert, I believe. Robert is pretty much Kane tells Robert, "Oh yeah, Herbert like has conquered
The
death."
actor is Robert Timpson.
All right, Halsey,
It's Dean Allen Halsey.
Alan Halsey. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
had
so
to look it up on the phone real quick.
Alan tells him, he pretty much tells Alan, "Hey, Herbert has this serum. It brings people back to life." Of course, Alan's like, "You're crazy. I don't believe you. Herbert's going to get expelled, and you need to basically." Didn't he say write a letter of apology or something?
And then he's like, well, Megan's seen it. And then he's like, you need to write a letter of apology and you're losing your scholarship.
Yeah, pretty much just like abusing his power, really.
Yeah.
While they're doing their experiments in the morgue, Alan stumbles across it and accidentally gets killed once they bring back a dead body back to life. Because now they find out they can bring back a dead body, but they're pretty much this mindless zombie,
Brute.
pretty much brute.
They seem to have come back with enhanced strength.
Enhanced strength, but no real control over their higher.
No focus.
No
They're
focus.
just
Blind rage.
chaos. Yeah.
Blind rage. And Kane pretty much, or Alan pretty much gets killed by this rampaging.
Because Dean Allen decides he's yelling in the morgue for him, yelling back. So he puts his ear to the door, and then the door gets trampled on. And the guy tramples him and then picks him up and bites off his fingers.
Bites off his fingers, tramples it, and just kills him.
Yeah.
Now, where Kane is like, "Oh my God, Alan is dead." Herbert is more like, "This is a fresh body. We can bring him back to life."
But first, Herbert is super cold when he's just like, move.
Yeah.
And then he re-kills the guy that gets brought back. And then he's like, get the recorder. We got a fresh body here.
Everything to him is science and just like cold and calculating. Like, honestly,
no empathy at all for anything.
Kind of somebody who you want on your side in certain instances where it's just like, I'm going to be as logical as possible with everything.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the freshest body I've ever had. I am not going to lose my opportunity. But brings back Alan from the dead. But of course, Alan is like, he's not a
range. Yeah.
He's more like, I don't know, because he's like cowering in a corner. So it's not like he's more scared than anything.
Yeah.
All right, so Alan basically gets taken away because he seems like a crazy person. The story now goes that, oh yeah, Alan just came in here all crazy and attacked us, and now he's like lost his mind, which kind of flies because earlier his daughter was saying how he was like angry and stuff like that because of all the stuff that was going on. So he's in the insane asylum. In comes back old pervy, creepy Dr. Carl Hill, who tries to console, quote unquote, Megan. And
While
he's like,
explaining to her exactly how he's going to lobotomize her dad.
well, he doesn't say he's going to, but he just says, well, yeah, he does kind of. He says, I need to perform brain surgery on him and I need to figure out what's wrong with him. So Herbert's back at his lab. Somehow Carl puts it together that Alan is really dead and that Herbert brought him back to life.
Yeah.
And he basically blackmails Herbert, says, I'm going to expose you and you're going to be called a murderer if I don't take credit for all your work. So he is a plagiarist.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he would do that, though. I don't know how he would prove that because Herbert technically didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he was going to plan on doing that, but Herbert didn't let that slide.
No, Herbert then committed murder.
He kills and decapitates Hill and then brings his head back to life.
He's like, wonder if I could bring back a head and a body separately.
And he
And
can.
he does, yeah.
And this is where we find out that the secret ingredient to bringing back dead body is pure unbridled hatred. Because Hill comes back to life, can speak. He sees West, like his head is sitting in a pan, and he sees West, and he's like, West, you bastard! And his body, that's on the ground, is up now and knocks Herbert out.
Yeah. And then he's just carrying his head around in a pan.
Which is goofy, but I think I liked it.
Yeah.
So at this point, we kind of get introduced to Carl's specialty, which is lobotomization. Because at this point, he lobotomized Alan. And he pretty much figures out that he steals all of Herbert's work.
Yeah.
And pretty much finds out that if he lobotomizes dead bodies in a certain way and then applies the reagent, he can kind of control them. And he breaks Alan out of the insane asylum and then has Alan basically kidnap his own daughter.
Yeah.
Now, what follows, he goes back to the morgue where he's injecting all sorts of reagent into all the dead bodies, and now Megan is brought to him. Now, this point, I will say this. Kudos to Barbara Crampton for the scene that happens up next, because she earned her paycheck. And essentially, she's stripped of her clothes, and Carl Hill is holding onto his head and is essentially about to perform cunnilingus on her with just his head.
Yeah.
But then in busts at the perfect time Herbert West to save the day. He busts in and distracts Carl Hill with a monologue saying, "Oh, you're just this two-bit plagiarist, blah, 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 blah." Yeah. Meanwhile, Kane is rescuing Megan.
That's real. Yeah.
Until Carl summons a horde of army of zombies, and what just ensues is pretty much just pandemonium. People fighting each other, and Herbert West about to get lobotomized when Alan, who's been just kind of standing here the entire time, starts to get a little bit of his, maybe what would you say, humanity back a little bit, I guess. Recognizes his daughter's in trouble, even though he kidnapped her and was about to see her get pretty much assaulted.
I was just like, okay, writers got stuck, had to figure out a way out. Okay,
it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
The power of love prevails, I guess. And then now they have Alan pretty much grabs Dr. Hill's head and crushes it, which sends all the other zombies into kind of like a frenzy. And then they're about to leave when Herbert injects Carl's body with one more injection of the stuff, which basically makes it go crazy.
Yeah, while screaming overdose.
Oh, overdose. Throughout all of this, some poisonous chemicals get smashed, and
Yeah.
poisons kind of fill in the air. Herbert gets pulled away, but Kane and Megan
Yeah.
manage to escape. But in the process, one of the bodies strangles Megan to death, pretty much,
Yeah.
and Megan's dead. Or is she? Because then we get basically a recreation of the first scene we saw Kane in, where they're in the hospital morgue, so
Yeah.
they go to the emergency room and try to bring her back. I find it funny. It was the same exact doctor who told him to at the beginning to, like, the body's dead.
Call it. Yeah.
Yeah. She's dead, but then he realizes that some of that reagent is left in the bag that Herbert threw him,
Yeah.
that has his notes and all sorts of stuff in there. And we see him grab a syringe, fade to black, and then we hear a scream.
And I hated that ending.
And you have to watch Bride of Re-Animator.
I guess, but it just means that in this entire movie, Kane had no character arch. He didn't learn a damn thing through all that.
Well, he wanted to bring he saw the one opportunity. That to me was kind of perfect, because it was the same situation from the beginning, except for this time he has the means to do it.
Yeah, but every time they've done it,
Mm-hmm.
it's just made things worse.
Yeah, but I mean, he probably also saw that, well, Carl got brought back to life and retained some of his stuff, and she's fresh. Maybe she'll.
Yeah, but they lose a lot of their humanity. It's just like, did you not learn anything from what you?
I don't think characters necessarily need to learn it. I mean, Herbert doesn't have an arc. I mean, some characters don't necessarily need an arc. I mean, sometimes it's nice, other times it just is kind of like, well, and for a cult movie kind of like this, for it being what it is, I can understand why they did that, and because it's a very cheesy movie that obviously is going to set up for a sequel. To me, it was just kind of perfect that it was like, it was that right kind of cheese where movies like that would like be like, scream like, oh, it's still out there kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know, I just didn't like it. I'm like, I feel like in actual situation, people would learn like not to bring people back from the dead.
But anyway, that's Re-Animator. So now you said this was your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
So I've been talking a lot. Why don't you tell me what your first impressions of it was?
I mean, it's not that I didn't like it. It's a pretty good movie. It's like your solid B movie from the 80s.
Which is exactly what it's trying to be, and especially given that this is why I also said I watched it in context with it being only $1 million and Cronenberg's movie being like $16 million.
Yeah.
Let me think if I had a favorite scene. I don't know, any scene with Herbert West, because I really like Herbert West. I mean, he's just a cold. Jeffrey Combs is a really good actor. I really like Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, I like the scene with Herbert West just calling out Dr. Hill on all his bullshit.
Yeah.
In Europe, we call your paper plagiarism.
So yeah, I just like how blunt he is with everybody. He's just first time he meets Carl, he's like, yes, yours is very derivative of Dr. Kruger's, and he's being a total dick. All right, we'll go ahead and break it down with technicals.
It was 7.5.
I gave this one an 8. Fly got 8.5 because it obviously had a bigger budget to play with, and I thought just genuinely the practical effects were better.
Yeah.
But this one
it did pretty good.
Yeah, for its budget, I think it did very well. And it's the exact kind that I like. A lot of it's over the top, which is exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The music, I really like the music. It's cheesy in some parts, but I also like the orchestrals in it. So, story.
Probably a 7.
Story. Story. I gave. Wait a second. Just give me 1 second. All right. So story. Story. I also gave. I gave an 8 as well. These are two separate kinds of movies.
Yeah.
This one is cheesy 80s horror, This is also listed as kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's listed as a comedy horror, but it's exactly my kind of cheese. And easy. It's a mad scientist who wants to bring the dead back to life, much like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
All he cares is about his work, and he doesn't care who dies, lives, what have you.
He just wants to do his work.
He
Yeah.
just wants to do his work. So I gave that one an 8.
Okay.
And enjoyment,
Enjoyment. Yeah, it's 7 across the boards for me.
it was 7 across the boards for you.
Yeah.
Enjoyment for me was a 9.
Okay.
It was the perfect amount of time. It was a fun 89 minutes, and I might watch Brighter Re-Animator. Oh, I would watch Brighter Re-Animator if it didn't cost money.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a cult following movie, and I'm part of that cult because it was it just hit me in the right places.
Okay. So you went 8, 8, 9.
I think it was 8.5. Wait, was it 8, 8.5, 9? I think it
Okay.
was 8, 8.5, 9.
All right. And I went 7 across the board. So 23.25 is Re-Animator's score.
I gave pretty much this and The Fly the same exact score, 25.5, except for I
Yeah.
enjoyed Re-Animator a little bit more, but on a technical level, Fly is better.
I mean,
Seeing as how I gave them both the same score, you pretty much had the deciding factor, and you pretty much gave it to Fly. So I guess Fly has to win this one.
yeah.
Bias.
You gave Fly a half point more than you did Re-Animator, okay? So we both gave lower scores. Mine was just a lot lower. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know.
Bullshit. Bullshit. No, yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't say that on a technical level, Fly is undoubtedly better.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you just look at it, the money is on the screen. And when you go Cronenberg is known for his body horror type movie. So there's going to be some passion in what everything looks like. And, but when it just came down.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Combs, as good as he is, can't go against Jeff Goldblum.
Well, for me, he just did. But just, again, it was just personal. I just had more fun with it.
See, I had more fun with The Fly.
Although I will say that, I mean, it's hard because I like both of them in different ways. Like
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum is most certainly a more sympathetic character. Without a doubt, he's a way more sympathetic character than either Herbert West or Kane, and I do like that.
Did you know he was married to Gina Davis at one point?
Oh, Jeff Goldblum was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Was he married during the shooting of this?
They were married 1987, got divorced in 91.
I think this one came out in what, 85, 86?
86, so they probably met on set and
Then got married.
yeah.
All right. And yeah, I didn't know that.
No, I just saw his winking like, Jesus, okay.
But yeah, and Herbert West, though, there's something I like about Herbert West. I think it's definitely Jeffrey Combs because I just like, sometimes I do like a nice sympathetic protagonist. Other times there is something that's fun about a protagonist that just doesn't care. He's just cares about nothing but his work.
Yeah.
I think it's because I wish that I was dedicated to something with that much intensity, like these two guys are dedicated to their work, where it's like I'm willing to sacrifice anything to make this work.
Make it happen, yeah.
But yeah, and again, it's definitely just elevated to me by Jeffrey Combs. But I can understand that this was going to be a hard one for me, just because I gave them both the same exact score because I had liked both things from different things. And when it came down to it, there's a reason why Re-Animator is a cult following. I just happen to be a part of that cult following that that really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's not like Re-Animator got a terrible score. It got a pretty high score. It just happened to be going against the Fly.
I mean, I'm a guy who goes, like I said, I go to the planetarium to watch old B-movie cheesy horror movies.
Yeah.
Like that's my wheelhouse. I love that kind of stuff. I can understand you giving it the fly, which is why I said it was going to be interesting because I was like, when I was scoring these on my notepad, I was like, oh, these both came out to be the same score. I was like, well, I guess it's going to be Dave that gets the deciding vote.
Yeah.
So I can't really be angry one way or the other because I was like,
Yeah.
well, if anything, I'm more happy that you got two other
Yeah.
movies now under your belt that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Like you gave me The Exorcist, I gave you you gave yourself The Fly, but I gave you Re-Animator. Which,
Yeah.
if you're gonna talk horror, I think you need to know Re-Animator.
Yeah. So that puts us at 2 apiece
Yeah,
going into the final versus episode.
I kind of had a feeling in my gut that it was gonna be like that anyway, which is fine. But that makes for a fun final one. So,
Yeah, I ended the losing streak because I lost the last two coming into this one.
well, you didn't lose by much.
No.
I don't
Well,
think,
post-apocalyptic, I lost by 3 points.
but the last one,
It was very close. I think it's like a half point.
yeah, I just squeezed that one out.
Yeah.
So should I go ahead and spin for our final versus match of this season?
Yeah. Go ahead and spin it.
This is for all the marbles because, again, whoever wins gets creative control. All right, so let me turn this up. All right, so let me spin. Man versus nature.
Man versus nature.
I'll also go and throw in like man versus like animal type stuff.
Okay.
So man versus animal or man versus like the wilderness, man versus the elements, pretty much. And now they can't be either classics, so we can't say Jaws,
Yeah.
nor can it be ones that we've already reviewed.
I don't know. We do have one more respin. I feel like we should just do it, and not let it go to waste.
I was about. Oh yeah, we do have another respin, don't we? Yeah, because
Might as well use it. Yeah.
I can't really think of Jaws and the birds are the ones I think of. So all right, so good. I forgot we had a respin, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Because I was about to say Sharknado.
That would have been a fun one. I was going to say piranha.
Yeah.
Ooh, vampire.
Vampire. Okay.
Do I take a gamble and submit one that I've never seen?
I'm thinking of the same thing too. Like,
Do you want to try to take a gamble and put forth two that we've never seen? I'll put one that I've never seen, and you put one you've never seen.
yeah.
All right. I've never seen this one, but I've heard good things. I'm gonna recommend Let the Right One In.
Oh, I did hear good things about that one. And I'm gonna go with Fright Night,
The original or the newer one?
the one from the '80s.
Okay, because I know that they did a remake with Colin Farrell. Okay, so these are both we've never seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good because originally I was gonna or would you say you couldn't do that if I said Lost Boys? Would you say no, that's too much of a classic, you can't do that?
Yeah. I don't know. Like when it comes to vampire movies, I think that's like your instant thought is like Lost Boys.
It is for me anyway.
Yeah, I can't think of a vampire movie that could compete with that.
So let the
outside like Twilight.
let the right one in. I think this one's a 4-in-1 because I know that they did a remake.
Are you doing the?
Let me bring it up real quick. The remake is called Let Me In. The original one was Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have Let the Right One In
So the Swedish one.
from 2008.
Okay.
Do you have any problem with? I don't know if it's subbed or dubbed.
I'll be all right. I could read.
That's good to know. All right, so and I will go ahead and just say I've never seen the original Fright Night.
Yeah, it's a movie that I've been meaning to watch for like the past 6 months.
Okay, so this is good. We're both taking a gamble.
Yeah.
Now, if we weren't going to take this gamble, do you know what you would have put forth? Oh, I know exactly what I would have put forth.
I've probably done Interview with a Vampire.
I would have done What We Do in the Shadows.
So I think it's good. Last one, we just taking a shot in the dark on this.
Taking a shot in the dark. So that's completely fair. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I've never seen this. So there's no way I can be like, well, I know I'm going to give it a high score. I don't know. I might have recommended something that I friggin' hate. So
Yeah. So we each get to watch 2 new movies this time. So
Excellent, excellent. That'll
yeah,
be, and then this will probably be one of the last ones to come out this season, I think. Because
yeah, it'll be close towards the end. Yeah.
and then it'll be interesting to see. Now, have you given any thought if you win what you would do for next season?
I have been thinking it out a little bit. Yeah.
I've been coming up with some ideas as well, so it'll be interesting. And I say that I'll put it this way: whoever loses next time, how about they share what their ideas were going to be for the next season?
Okay.
And then the winner doesn't have to reveal uh, if they don't want to, but the loser can be like, all right, well, what I was thinking about doing next season was this.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, so that's good. So that's two each. So you won Mad Scientist and Holiday, and I won Sequel and Post Apocalyptic.
Yep.
That's fair. That's good. I like that. That makes for a good contest.
Yeah.
But all right, so good. We win again. Always good to have more movies under our belt,
Yeah.
and always good to let people know that we are not as seasoned as we should be because now we just gave away that we've never seen Fright Night or Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
So
We're working on it. Yeah.
so it's good to let everybody know that this horror podcast is very much just fly by the seat of our pants. These guys only kind of know what they're doing.
I will say I've seen a bunch of found footage movies on Tubi, like the very cheap bad ones.
Uh-huh.
I've seen a bunch of those.
And I watch a lot of the stuff on Shudder that's more like I've never ever heard of this title. Sure, I'll watch it. I don't think anybody's ever heard of this either. Sure, I'll check this movie out.
That's what I've been doing on Tubi. I'm like,
Like-
okay, I'll watch this.
Like I said, I think the one that I always go to was Planet of the Vampires from 1960 something. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe my thing will be season of like cheesy B movies. But we'll find that out next time we do this. So in the meantime, Dave, thank you for being a very admirable opponent
Yeah.
and
Taking it to the wire.
taking it to the wire. And thank you, everybody who listen. Thanks for everybody who watched these movies, but listen to us talk about it.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. Have a good week, everybody.
See ya. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.